this guy up tickets.
Mr. Vining explained to me that the roads that night were completely empty and that he noticed that he was approaching a traffic light that was red. As he slows down to a complete stop, he crosses and goes beyond the solid white line of the traffic light. Once the light turns green, Mr. Vining continued on his way down the road. Follow Mr. Vining in their patrol car for several seconds before finally pulling him over.
King John Zebra 4925 3100 South Riverside.
During my investigation, I was able to get in contact with the Fort Worth Police Department Internal Affairs Unit. I wanted to know which officer was which in the dashcam video. I spoke with Detective Chadwick Scroggins, and he was kind enough to assist me by sending me this email. It reads, the involved officers are Officer Delgadillo and Officer Hughes. Officer Delgadillo is the first officer that approaches the driver's side in the video, and Officer Hughes is on the passenger side. The officers switch position on the second approach. So please keep this in mind when you are viewing the dashcam video.
So the cop came, I provided all my information, insurance, license, was very polite, yes sir, no sir, not hostile, aggressive or anything like that. And when he asked my passengers for their ID, I stated, and of course, when you're standing up to police, you'll get a little bit nervous no matter how much you prepare. Like, I said, they don't have to provide that if they don't want to. That's it. And he was like, what? Okay. He was taken aback that I stood up to him, but he was basically like, okay, he took my information. They didn't collect their ID and then they went back. And that's when you can see on the video in the squad car, their conversation, which I didn't know any of this at the time.
This guy up tickets.
He told you that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what the Mr. I know everything.
To ask his passengers? I mean, we can ask all we want. Yeah. They don't have to give us anything.
What do I do if I have passengers and a cop pulls me over? Like, what's the law? Can the cops mess with my passengers? Can they get ID? And the answer I got was that they're allowed to ask the passengers for their ID, but the passengers don't have to provide it if they don't want to. And so I'm like, okay. And so I decided in advance if I ever got pulled over, then I would let them know they don't have to provide it if they don't want to, but it's their decision. If they want to, that's up to them. But most people don't know their rights. And if the cops come knocking, they're just going to be like, here, take all my info.
You just got yourself a ticket, buddy. Because I wanted a ticket. Did either of the passengers say anything to you?
I said no.
And then he cut you off?
Because you don't have to provide you information.
So technically, wouldn't that be interfering? Nah, I can stretch on that. It just costs them money.
Make sure the vehicle's good. Make sure they have no obstruction. Lights on. Yeah, you didn't stop.
Yeah, he didn't stop for that limit line. Check him in the portal.
Yeah, it's all about it. Nothing.
Was he wearing a seatbelt?
Yeah, I think so.
Were they wearing their seatbelts?
I don't know. I shouldn't.
Because if they weren't, then that's our PC to talk to them. I wish I'd known he was going to be that. I almost thought he was an Uber. Yeah, when they were in the backseat, I was like, they were actually the most responsible gamer people I've ever seen.
Fail to yield right away. Pedestrian. What's about improper passing? Driving across median.
That's the middle. I want to stick.
Oh, we gotta check to see if he has a front license plate. Cutting across property. Crossing double white line?
Yeah.
Okay. No, we'll check see if he has a front license plate. And also, you could ride him for the stop sign.
I'm gonna go all the way back to that. Alright, when we walk back up there, you want to check his license plate? Let me see what the code is so I can just add it if that's what it is.
Huh?
Let me see what the code is so I can just have it ready to go. So it's no front license plate. Where would that be at?
I think it's on the back page. This one's in the middle.
No front license plate. 07002. So let me know if he has it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Your license. Do you have a good phone number?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Well, we wrote you for those white lines at red lights. You're not allowed to go over them while the light's red. We have you on camera going past that white stop line is what it's referred to as
Okay.
when the light was red. So that's what this is. This is not an admission of guilt. It's just you saying you're going to take care of it. You have 11 days to contact the court. I need your signature right here. Do you study law or anything like that?
No, sir.
Well, just so you know, if I wanted to get the information, I could, because I have PC. They're not wearing seatbelts. You should make sure your passengers are wearing seatbelts.
Yes, sir.
Don't tell you how to do your job. Don't tell us how to do ours.
See, I didn't know what the cops had been talking about in their car, but at that point, but once I got it, I went home and I played it, and I about fell out of my chair. I'm like, I'm going to win this. Like I've got them on so many different angles. The first thing that came to mind, from their conversation is they're like, let's load this guy up with tickets. Ticket if he hadn't said anything, it's like, okay. I'm like, okay, I can work with this. Because the question when it comes to court, the first before seeing the film, it's like, do you think you probably would have given me a ticket if I hadn't have stood up for my passengers' constitutional rights of privacy? And then it doesn't matter what he says. If he says, yes, I would have, then I'll have him on perjury because I have the film where he says I probably would not have. And if he says no, then the next question is, so it's like, well, didn't you swear an oath to protect the Constitution, and shouldn't you, so if you wouldn't have given me a ticket for the infraction, but you're giving me a ticket because I protected someone's constitutional rights, it's like, and try to get that discrepancy out there. Like, so you gave me a ticket because I protected someone's constitutional rights, which you swore an oath to do. What they're doing is what I call phishing. They're looking for drunk drivers. So yeah, they're looking for that. But then they might also be looking for expired tags and licenses and whatever else they can kind of get you for. If you want to be cynical, they're just looking for revenue. If you want to be as generous as possible, they're trying to keep the road safe from drunk drivers and stuff. And he even said, like, he probably wouldn't have given me a ticket he wouldn't have given me a ticket if I hadn't have stood up for my passengers. Got a court date, and in the actual court date, they've got a whole room full of people that are all having their trial the same day. And the prosecutor accuses himself to go into the other room, presumably to see all the police officers and all the witnesses that have shown up. He comes back and then he reads off a list. Like, if I read your name off this list, you're free to go. And he goes down the list and I'm one of them. Like, they don't even give you a piece of paper. By the way, your case is dismissed. Like, you don't know, you could have lied. And like, oh, you didn't show up for your court. I don't know. But he read my name off the list and I'm like, okay, I guess I don't get to have my day in court. And that was it. Just went home.